Hi guys, I am Kamlesh and welcome back to Edustart now. For the people who haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe to my channel and don't forget to follow us on Insta. So let me give you a brief introduction of myself. I am Kamlesh and I'm working for Amazon. So let us continue today's session. Before starting the session, let me have a quick recap of yesterday's session and let us revise what we have learned till now. So on the very first session, which we have taken through the stats, and now the machine learning. Half of the things we are done today. We'll try to complete machine learning, and the next session we'll try to learn what exactly the classification is all about, and we try to work on a Titanic data, and let us discuss how well the Titanic data and we are able to visualize it, and we are unable to visualize it, and it's a very interesting topic actually, where we'll get to know how many people have actually survived. We try to predict what exactly how many male and female and things like that. So stay tuned for the more updates. Okay, so let us revise yesterday's topic. Yesterday we learned what exactly the data science is, what are the skills required for that, and what are the skills required for that, and the useful knowledge for the prediction and unknown. And also we have learned that how to improve business outcome from the power of data, and also we try to learn about what exactly the definition of data science is all about, where the data scientist has a multidisciplinary field which combines of all software engineer and statistics with the domain experience and things like that. So, and also we have learned what exactly the data science should have consist of. It also consists of about all the Venn diagrams of both all the statistical and business analyst as well as software. So we also learned what is artificial intelligence and how it is behave, and what exactly the artificial intelligence and things like that. So what is subset of an artificial intelligence is also where the deep learning is where deep learning is providing the information for providing huge amount of the data to the machine to learn about, where the machine learnings will try to deploy the models, and artificial intelligence is performing without less interference, without much more human effort and less interference of a human. So that is artificial intelligence. So we try to learn how the machine is trying to able to recognize what exactly the chair and dining table and things like that. So for multiple inputs for an individual, for the multiple inputs, so for the multiple inputs for the human to recognize it, it's very tough. But for different input for the machinery using CNN and ANN, it's very easy. So deep learning to the rescue. So what exactly the deep learning and capability is capable of focus. We also had a brief a little bit over here, and now we also got to know what exactly the machine learning and why it is not at all useful, what exactly the machine learning is all about, and why machine learning, what not is exactly the machine learning. And also we try to learn about what exactly the supervised learning and unsupervised learning. And tomorrow, so in the next session, we'll try to discuss what exactly the supervised learning is all about. Okay, and exactly the types of machine learning is, what is supervised learning and unsupervised learning. And also, one second guys, so what exactly the supervised and unsupervised learning, we try to learn about how the machines are trying to learn, how machines are trying to learn. So what exactly 1 minute, and where the machines is trying to, we also try to learn about what exactly the analytics and data intelligence insights, and we try to learn about what exactly the business intelligence is. And data analysis also plays a very important role in understanding the feature. And what is data, what are the types of qualitative and quantitative data, we try to understand. And what is the basics of categorization, like size, process, source, generation and form. And types of data is also, we try to learn about what exactly the categorical variable and quantitative random variable, discrete and binary data, normal data. And and also we have learned about what exactly the discrete and continuous variable is all about. So we understood what exactly the raw data and raw definition of that. So structured data, where the data can be organized when the data are organized, what exactly the demographic views and and psychological psychograph overview of an individual data. We try to learn what exactly the batch data and the real time data we try to understand over there. So and on the top of it, we also understood what exactly the source of the data and the document data is all about. So we till here we have covered, I guess. So what exactly the business understanding and data understanding is all about, how to deploy, how data is prepared, so modeling, evaluation, and things like that. So now we understand well, now we understood till now what are the basic things which are required for the life cycle of a data science is all about. And we from in today's session we'll discuss about the life cycle of a data science, how the data science works, what is data acquisition, what is data preparation, and what is hypothesis modeling, and evaluation and preparation of and deployment, and overall optimization, overall operation of an optimization. We'll try to understand what exactly the life cycle of a data scientist is and about. So first, in the very first stage, we try to collect the data, where the data is a primary source, where without the data we can't do anything. So data preparation is also plays a very important role, and hypothesis testing and modeling also we'll try to discuss. So we'll also get to know what exactly the evaluation and interpretation of a data and deployment. Okay, so let us see what exactly the data acquisition is all about. And data acquisitions is involves in acquiring the data from all the, sorry data acquisition involved in acquiring data from all the identified internal and external sources that can help answer the business questions. So data acquisition, that means acquiring the data, that means capturing the data. It involves in from all internal and external sources that can help the business questions. Okay, the data can be the web services or social media or census data set, and they streamed from online sources via app. Okay. Next step is all about the data preparation. So, what exactly the data preparation talks about? The data wrangling, the process of cleaning and unidentified complex data sets, and data after data reformatting, it can convert it into JCB or any other formats that makes easy to learn load into one data scientific tools. So that is exactly what the data is preparation. So before preparation of the data, we have to identify which format it is into, whether it is into JCB format or else CSV format and other formats, which makes the data to convert that into the scientific tools. So that is exactly the data preparation and things like that. So next comes about hypothesis and testing model. We are also covered what exactly the hypothesis and null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis, and also which statement to reject and when to accept and when to reject, type 1, type 2 error. So these types of hypothesis and module we'll try to use here. I will try to use here. So let us understand what exactly the hypothesis is all about. The hypothesis is based on completely requirements of the model creating using of the data. So what exactly the data is? Say suppose for housing data, if you were to take, they are the number of bedrooms which are number of bedrooms, and what is the criminal rate of the society, what is the pollution rate, and how it is affecting the price. These are the parameters which plays an important role in identifying what exactly how the data is created and when it is useful, and what exactly the evaluation and interpretation of that. So deployment, so hypothesis plays an important role, and next, hypothesis and model. It also involves in performing and testing hypothesis about the data and process that generate it. It requires writing and refining the programs to analyze, derive, and meaningful business insights from the data. Most of the mostly writing in languages like Python and RSpy, that plays very important. So one should know what exactly they are trying to derive from this. So mostly languages like R, Python, and Spark should have a basic minimum knowledge about what exactly these things depends upon, and deployment. So what and sorry, we are up to hypothesis, right? So using these things, we'll try to learn, try to have knowledge and gain knowledge in what exactly the hypothesis and modeling is all about. Okay, so next, evaluation and interpretation. So test sets that includes what exactly the accuracy is, what is f of x. If accuracy is low, the below steps are repeated until the good model is found. So we'll try to get accuracy, what exactly and how much the data is accurate all about, and then we try to fix what exactly the model is trying to evaluate using the test data and train data and things like that. So evaluation and interpretation, one should have the business analytical skills also to deploy what exactly the interpretation and evaluation is all about. So next, we'll try to understand what exactly the interpretation with an example. Say models are performed should be measured and compared using validation and test data set. So the performance of the performance of the data should be measured on the very first node, and try to compare and try to validate what exactly and how the test data are performed. So model should have highly accuracy for implementation. So before implementation, model should also take in care what exactly and how the model has been implemented. So deployment, the data scientists have done this in Python or Spark. If the product environment suppose only Java, then they need to be recorded. So deployment is nothing but, say suppose you are categorizing the data into two parts, like data acquisition and data preparation. So we'll try to understand what exactly the hypothesis and modeling. After that, we'll try to evaluate and interpret, and then the deployment comes into the picture, where we'll try to convert the data into 70% and 30%, and we'll try to work on 70% of the data, and then try to reflect on the 30% and test and compare what exactly the whatever the data is trying to get is showing the accuracy of for. So say suppose the data is showing an accuracy of 70 to 80%, then that means whatever the sales which we inquire in the next quarter, or after 6 months or 3 months, that may be somewhat accurate somewhat accurate up to. So this plays a very important role, the deployment. So if it after it is deployed, and if the what if you are deployed, and the whatever the margin which you are trying to do is not at all correct and not at all acceptable, then we get into the then we deep dive into the individual situation, stating that what in a case if what operation and permissions plays in a very important role. So we'll try to, if the deployment rate is very less, we'll try to correct what exactly we went wrong, what our interpretation went wrong, and we'll try to minimize error. That plays a very that you will get to know what exactly is all about a CNN and ANN in. Okay, so while we learning the convolutional neural network and artificial neural network, you'll get to know what exactly and how the things work in the long run. Okay, so next is deployment. So in these steps, in this model, we'll try to create what deployment is into the market, where the models have been recorded before deploy, like data scientist in the favor of job by the production environmental may require Java. So it's nothing but the models and created which is deployed in the market. That means obviously the model is after running. We try to give it to the what a client, stating that this is a model and we are expecting this amount in that. So that makes it that makes an important role in judging and justifying that. Okay, so next is operation and optimization. So what exactly the operation and optimization is all about is the thing of thing is, say suppose f of x, how much f of x we are trying to work it out, and we have received what is f of y, and we try to calculate how accurate we are into. So we'll get to know what exactly how much accuracy we are, depending upon the situations too. So we'll try to evaluate and retain the model, and by using the modeling, and try to how optimized it is. So by minimizing the errors and try to minimizing the errors and try to develop the model deployment up to 70 to 80, if say suppose it is 70 to 80%, we'll try to get minimize by minimizing errors, we'll try to what increase the model level, we'll increase the model level up to 70 of 80 to 80% to 100%. We'll try that, but 100% it's too tough to get that. So now operations and optimization. So it involves in developing a plan for monitoring and maintaining the data science project in the very long run. Performance downgrade is monitored in this phase. Model is retained whenever a dataset is added or there is a downgrade in the performance. So now let us understand what exactly the traditional programming versus machine learning programming. So in traditional programming, we'll understand what in the traditional once again. So let me do this. Hmm. So in traditional programming, okay, okay, done. Okay. In traditional programming, we'll try to understand what exactly the data is and how we'll try to understand that the data is available, the program is available, and we try to give to the system. By using system, we can give by human interference. By this, output can be ascertained. Whereas in machine learning, what exactly we do is we'll give the data and we have the output. We'll get the output. Okay, we have the output. So and we'll try to give it to the system, and then we'll try to get what exactly the model is. We are creating a model and we are identifying what exactly the pattern the system is trying to evaluate in this data. Okay, so I'll give you an example where we'll try to understand. See, this is the data. Okay, we have the output. By using computer science, we are creating by using R and Python and things like that. We are trying to deploy this thing. Okay, by deploying this, we are creating a model and identifying pattern, and then this pattern we are trying to create, and then we are delivering the output. So that is where the traditional programming and machine learning programming comes into the picture. So next is training data. So there are two phases in which this data science is all included. That is phase one and phase two. Phase two is we are training the data and trying to teach algorithms where exactly the model is, and trying to generate a model. So we are dividing the data into test data and train data, and try to get accuracy what exactly they are training about. This is test data, so this is the training data. So to elaborate and give you a better picture, I would like to explain my personal example of which of the projects which I recently work on, where I say suppose if the data has been given to me, okay, and I'll try to divide the data into 70% and 30% on the very first node, and after that whatever the data is predicting, I'll test using the models like regression model or else classification or a logistic regression, decision tree, depending upon the model which suits that data. Using the stats knowledge, using stats as a basic knowledge, we'll try to understand what exactly and which model suits the data. Okay, and then we try to divide the data. Okay, we divide the ratio into 70 into 30. That depends upon whatever the ratio you can take. That totally depends upon your choice and preference. So you are taking the data up to 70 and 30% of the data, and try to calculate what exactly the data is accuracy about. So 70% of the data, yeah, the sales are acquired. So that sales, whatever the 30% data, you try to implement that. That's what is the 30% of the data is showing as sales, then it gives you the percentage. So with that percentage, you try to learn and try to dissect what exactly the percentage is all about, and try to get accuracy. And that is a test and trains data. Let us understand in the in the next slides what exactly how and when these methods are deployed. So next, steps of learning a machine learning. Steps of machine learning. Okay, so collection of the data, very first step, and then second step is data wrangling, that is cleaning the data, finding any missing terms, if it is any repeated values, any null items, or else if a categorical data convert into dummy variables and things like that, and then try to analyze what exactly the model what exactly the model is about to predict, and what exactly the model is about to predict, and what is it is giving to the exact price of it. Okay, and Next step is try to analyze the data. So after calculating, after getting the knowledge about what exactly the data is analyzed, what exactly the data suits for this better model, then try to analyze the data, then train the data. So in the very fourth step, try to train the data and get what is accuracy of the data which can be predicted from there, and then just try to, and then try to get and then try to you implement in the test data algorithm, and then try to, after the sixth step, try to deploy it. So using this you can easily make it out what exactly and how the data is performing and things like that. Okay, and the next slide talks about the stages involved in the deployment of the data. So there are the different stages which have been involved in this thing, in this pattern. Then the very first step is a collection of the data. One second. Very first step is a collection of data. One minute. Okay, yeah, good to go. So collection of data and data wrangling and data analysis and training algorithm, test algorithm, deployment. So these are the things we already discussed. So in the very first stage, how we'll get to know, we'll try to describe what and how the stages of the algorithm affects in this thing, like data source and data server. Data is how the data is collected, and data how the data is stored. So from PDF format the data can be saved, and then from Excel sheet data can be saved, and in YouTube, from YouTube, like YouTube, Twitter, tweets, and things like that, like server, big data analytics. We can say store the data in several other forms. Okay, and next slide talks about steps of machine learning. Actually, we have done with, right? Steps of machine learning. Okay, now data wrangling. So data wrangling is a process of cleaning and converting the raw data into the formats and allow for the convenient consumption. So data is already acquired from the different sources, and after filter data from different data, we try to filter what exactly we want to know about, what exactly we want to know, and what exactly the data is talking all about, and then cleaning the data. So after cleaning, before cleaning the data, we have to in the step of data filtering, we'll get to know what exactly null items are available and how much percentage of null items are available, and what is the unique content of the data. We all get to know about in we all get to know about the data wrangling in this data filtering stage. So that this plays a very important role, guys. So after, next step is data. If data is analyzed to select and filter the data required to prepare the model. So in this stage, before analyzing the data and future selection, okay, the model try to predict, and the model, we are trying to predict the model, and then we try to analyze what exactly the model is all about. So training algorithm. So the next step is training algorithm. So the algorithm is trained on the training set data, through which algorithm understands the pattern and rules the data. So that is the training set data and the model data. So we will train the data and try to deploy what exactly the models is all about. Okay, and next is test algorithm. So before understanding what is exactly the concept of test algorithm, whatever the data which we try to train here, we'll try to test in that. Okay, then next stage is deployment. If the speed and accuracy of the model is acceptable, then the model should be deployed in the real system. So whatever the model which we try to accept, and that should be deployed in the real system, that should be applied in the real system. After the model is deployed, the results of the model to be incorporated in the business strategy, because that is where we actually the mission is completed for data scientist, as what exactly he wanted to do and what exactly he wanted to deliver. So next is machine learning and its application. So machine learning, like in iPhones, we have an application known as Siri, where Apple's claim that the software adapts its individual preference over the time, prioritize the results. So that is machine learning. That is where the Siri comes into the picture, and this ability of recommendations plays an important role. Like I think companies like Amazon, Netflix, Flipkart, and other sites which which they purely based on recommendation system, where they'll recommend the product which you are interested in. Say suppose is you went and just typed in Amazon stating that you required certain product like iPhone charger. Okay, so after iPhone charger, and then you see you just wanted to inquire about what exactly the price in the market available by using Amazon. So Amazon will get to know the using your cookies what exactly you came and searching for. So using that, it try to recommend it keep on popping up the ad stating that what exactly the recommendation, what exactly you wanted to see and things like that. So that is the recommender system. With these with this recommender system and sales, they are predicting high amount, they are getting high amount of sales and revenue from that. So in at Amazon also we try to look into, say suppose if a person at the very first time he comes and, and try look at the product, and if he try to buy that product, we don't give him any discount. In the recommendation system, we'll try to give him a discount stating that this is a 30% off and 45% off if you buy by clicking this thing. So already if the person is willing to buy, why to give him a discount? That is a hidden fact over there. And if we are forcing that person to buy, and then if we are forcing that person to buy by giving a discount, then at least we have converting the lead into sale, right? So that is the main idea and theme behind that, behind the behind this machine learning and recommendation system. So in the healthcare system also, it displays a very important role. Like it involves in the use of wearable devices and sensor to assess the patient's health in the real time. Say suppose you have a gadget where it will tap your monitor, it monitors your heart rate monitoring and how many footsteps you are working, how many calories you are working for in a day, in and out, how much activities you are performing. It calculates the mental physical health of an individual, and then try to predict the data and try to give you in how much quarterly, how many calories you are trying to burn, in half yearly how many calories you are trying to burn, and things like that. And financial services, machine learning also plays an important role, like what exactly the machine learning technology you are trying to identify, and how the data you are catching about is trying to prevent, and how you are preventing the fraud and things like that. So what exactly the supervised learning? So supervised learning is where you have input variables like x and output variable y, and you can use the algorithm to learn functioning mapping from the input to output and the functions like f of x. It is called a supervised learning because the process of algorithm from the training data set can thought as a teacher supervised from the learning process. Because the data is in a very categorical data is a numerical form, then it would be easy for us to understand what exactly the algorithm is trying to predict. So for example, y is equal to mx plus c, if we try to eject in a graph stating which is a better points to adapt, which is a better points which is nearer to the slope. So by using that is a supervised learning where machine try to learn what exactly and what is a better amount of price which we can give to an individual. So that is what the supervised learning is all about. So next is process, the how the supervised learning works. So supervised learning is divided into this type like training data and test data. So historically we collect the data and then try to do a random sampling, like what exactly the missing data is available, what in that missing data how much percentage which we want, we try to convert, like 30% of the data is available or 40% of the data is null values are available. Then we try to use a random sampling, like what to substitute in the place of null items, like null items like mean or median or mode, and then try to convert the data into test data and training data. And on the training data we try to apply machine learning and then statistical model, and then we try to predict, we'll try to predict on testing, predict and testing what exactly how much the percentage we're trying to test, and then the output comes as a model validation output. So this is exactly how the supervised learning will run into. And the next slide is about And next is about, say suppose the prediction data. So whatever the however the data is predicted as a business analytical job, business analytics basically revolves around what exactly prediction is. So they try to predict the new data and then try to use a model for it and then try to predict the outcome for it. So this is where the supervised learning comes into picture. So once again, supervised learning algorithms. So in supervised learning algorithms, we have broadly described into categories that those are linear regression and logistic regression, decision tree, random forest, and Navi based classifier. And in unsupervised learning, technically we have learned what exactly is what are logistic regression, decision tree classifier, random forest classifier, and things like that. So in supervised learning, we try to use in linear regression, we use to estimate the real values, that the cost of house, number of calls, and the total number of sales. There, those are the on the basis of continuous variables. So linear regression will also cover one interesting topic of where we'll get to know about what exactly the number of we'll take a venture capitalist data, I guess, in linear regression, and we'll try to understand what exactly how the profit variable is taken care, and will how the profit variable is taken for the granted, and what are the highest amount of parameters which has been responsible for the increase or decrease in the linear increase or decrease of profit. So in logistic regression also, we'll try to understand with the annual income data, where we'll get to know what exactly how much and how variable the customers are trying to deploy, and things like that. The decision tree is used for the both categorical and continuous variables, as I already discussed, where the decision tree there the decision tree speaks all about how how the decision may depends upon both the depending upon the choices, depending upon the options. Okay, so random forest is also a resemble of a decision tree. It gives a better prediction and accuracy than the decision tree. So it is a classification technique based on the Bayes theorem, where the assumption of an individual between the parameters like the predictors. So we in Navi-based classification, we also will get to know about, we'll study what exactly the classifiers is talking all about, like if A and A given B both are universally acceptable. If A given B, how many parameters can be selected from A and B, or B or A and B. So that is where the Navi based classification comes into the picture. We'll learn about we learn and try to discuss what exactly how Navi based classification plays an important role in understanding the concept. So we'll try to learn the project life cycle. Okay, we'll try to learn what exactly the product life cycle of a data scientist. So how a data scientist is going to approach the problem of, which are the steps that comprises the life cycle of a data science how the uh, if say suppose we are trying to make a project report, where we'll get to understand what exactly how the steps of a project life cycle is taken care, and how the visualization and matplot libraries, numpy libraries are coming to rescue to solve this thing, and things like that. So this plays a very important role in the in understanding the concepts and things like that. So overview of a project life cycle. A typical data science project should follow these steps, like defining a problem, identifying the desired output, determine whether the data is needed or not, evaluate possible solutions, measure effectiveness, and make improvement and communicate results. So these are like defining a so typical data scientist should follow these steps, like what is exactly the defining problem, what exactly the outcome would be. So outcome, how the outcome how gonna take place, and determining whether the data is needed, or whether data is needed, like data is useful or it is not useful. Evaluate the possible solutions. So what exactly the possible solutions it's gonna be, and measure the effectiveness. So one should have to compare what exactly the possible solutions would be, and what exactly the possible solutions would be and measures the effectiveness of that and make improvement and try to communicate results. So that is what the life cycle, that is what the project overview of a life cycle of a data scientist should be. And also we'll get to know the entire entire product life cycle. It is firstly one second. Hmm. The entire project lifecycle is defined as at the very first stage we'll define a problem, we'll try to identify the desired outcome, and we try to evaluate, we'll try to check whether which data is required for it and evaluate the possible solutions, and effective measures is also taken care for that and improve and make improvement. Communicate and also communicate results also plays a very important role in this. So this is what of the parts of it. So the parts of a project life cycle is also the alternative, where after designing the process, we'll also try to define a project and define outcome, then we'll determine the data which is required to that and try to evaluate which is evaluate the possible solutions for it, and measurement and make an improvement. So if we make improvement and then in another scenario also determine which data is required. So evaluate the possible solutions and measures. Uh, so this is the parts of the project life cycle. So let us understand. As of now, we have discussed what exactly the machine learning and parts and what are the useful of thing. So let us try to understand what and when. We'll look into a live project where we look into the Titanic project and try to understand what exactly the Titanic data is described all about. So the product life cycle starts here. So it's a machine learning project where we'll try to understand how many people have survived till date, and we'll look into the simple Kaggle predictions like competition. The stinking of we all know what exactly happened to Titanic. The sinking of RMS Titanic is the one of the most infamous shipwrecks in the history. So on April 15th, 1922, during a median voyage, the Titanic sank after colliding with an iceberg, killing 1,500 out of 2,024 passengers and crew. The sensational tragedy shocked the international community and shocked the international. One second, guys, I'm getting a call. So one of the reason that the lead to such a loss of lives was there. It was not enough for lifeboats for the passengers and crew. Although there was some element of luck involved in surviving and sinking, and some of the group of people were most likely to survive than others, such as women and children and upper class. In this challenge, we'll ask you to complete the analysis of sort of people were likely to survive in the particular, and we ask you to apply the tools of machine learning and predict the messenger survived in this strategy in this tragedy. So we'll try to understand what exactly the basic practices of the basic practice and things like that, like binary classification, Python and R basics. We try to understand, and in this data, if we try to understand the data, we have the passengers ID, how many people have survived, what are the classes, the passenger classes, the name, what are the male or female, and age group of that, and sibling, with a special sibling, with a sibling and with a parental. Okay, and these are, if one means they are present and zero if not present, and zero, that means zero means this name of an individual is not at all not present for that, no parent child for them, and the ticket number, fare cost, these are the cabled and embarked. So this is the data which we have collected. So this is the where we have collected the data, and the data processing done. Now the next step is all about the data wrangling. So let us understand with a slide. We can easily get into what exactly we want to collect. So collection of the data, we have collected the data of Titanic, where we can easily make it out what exactly how the data have survived and all. And after that we have to collect the data, do the data wrangling process. So in data wrangling process, we'll try to get to know about uh, how many people have survived, like data cleaning. So how survived when, or one, what are the categorical data if is required. So whether this ticket number is required, so this is not required, so we will try to drop this thing. Sorry. And whatever the fair amount which has been specified over here, so which is the highest amount, which is the lowest amount, what is the age group which have been survived, and name will try to drop it, and ticket class will try to drop it. So understand what exactly the passengers, zero means here. Sorry. Zero means how many passengers are alive, and one means how many passengers have. Zero means how many people have. Zero means people have lost his life. One means survived. So what is the percentage of survived to people to sex? So that means how many in male, how many survive, in female, how many survive. What is the age group that has been survived? So whether the siblings, with the help of siblings they have survived. We'll try to understand what exactly the total number of people which have been living over here, and what exactly the ticket size, the ticket size. Really think it is not at all important. And from the data, from the movie, we try to learn how many people have survived. Majority of the women have survived in that. Majority of the women have survived. And because the preference was given much to higher, preference was much given to the very first class people, and and women and children were taken to the boat, the men were left on their fate. So that from that movie we can easily make it up. So we'll try to understand by using how the machine learning plays an important role, and let us try working on a model, and try to visualize what exactly is all about, and how how machine learning plays an important role in prediction of surviving the Titanic project. Okay. So then we do the data, then we try to analyze. So after understanding this data, then we come over here, and then we try to understand what exactly the data wrangling is, and data analyze, and data algorithm, and train the algorithm, and test the algorithm. So after that we'll try to deploy whether how much, what are the percentage they have survived. We try to compare how we can guess, so how the data is trying to predict and things like that. So in the next class we'll try to understand what exactly and how the data science helps in data science project, like classifying regression depending upon the model. I'll tell you which was a model which I tried to select, and which is a statistical tool I'm trying to use for. That plays a very important role. So guys, yesterday I got a request stating that people have doubt, and people has need a little more clarification regarding what exactly the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis is all about. So I'll try to rehydrate once again. uh, so one second. So hypothesis is an assumption, buddy. To the whoever the question asked to, they need a little bit clarification about hypothesis. So hypothesis is an assumption where we make a population parameter. Hypothesis is also null hypothesis is where there is no difference between the true value and hypothesis value. Say suppose if we selected any population parameter from that hypothesis and we try to work on that, that is known as null hypothesis. If there is a proper evidence like providence evidence or proof stating that whatever the null hypothesis which we have selected, whatever the null hypothesis which we try to select, and that null hypothesis is true with showing the evidence, then that is treated as null hypothesis. If we try to reject, then we if then we if it is null hypothesis, we'll try to accept it. If it is not, then we'll try to reject that. Simple. So there is, if we are rejecting that, that is known as an alternate null hypothesis. And let us see in the next slide. See, if the hypothesis testing is a process of determine whether or not given hypothesis is true. I'll tell you. Okay, the null hypothesis is assertion of the value of the population parameter. It is an assertion that we hold true unless we have the sufficient statistical evidence to conclude otherwise. The first step of hypothesis testing is to formalize by identifying the null hypothesis. The alternate hypothesis is a negation of null hypothesis where H1 symbol is used to denote the null hypothesis. Um, so, uh, reject. So very often, this stanza will give you the proper explanation. Like very often, the phenomena under the study will suggest the nature of null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. So this is a theoretical explanation of empirical empirical work, or both can be rely upon the formulate hypothesis. So this was a brief explanation about what exactly the hypothesis and things like that. So we'll work on the Titanic data in the next class, stating and trying to elaborate what exactly this data is talking all about. And classification regression, we'll also cover the we also try to cover whatever the data which we left over, like classification regression, and we'll try to work on CNN, computer vision, and rural networking, NLP, and natural language process also we try to do it. That is the abbreviation of NLP. And what else topic which I wanted to cover? Let me think. Let me try to recollect it as of now. So the rest of the topic is like um, we'll work on venture capitalist data, and we'll try to work on a clustering project, where what exactly the clustering is about to explain, and what exactly the clustering is trying to explain. And also, let me check once. And also we'll try to learn statistics we have done for the day. And what are the projects which have been left over? CNN, convolutional networking project, also we'll try to work on them. We try to understand the theory of what exactly the CNN and ANN is trying to explain. And that's all we have planned. And the very last session we'll try to cover what are the important sessions for an interviewer, interview questions which I have prepared very long time. I was preparing for data science interview. I'll brush up those important questions and how to answer and what now, what are the things which have been covered. So this would be the classes. This would be the important classes which we gonna cover in the coming up sessions. So I request you guys to subscribe and stay tuned for more updates on Edustart now. So that's all for the day. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, and if you have any doubts, please feel to ask and feel to comment in the comment box. And this is end of the machine learning basics which we have covered. And in the long run, Edustart now is planning to start classes. So please subscribe and please do follow. And edustart.com, we have a website too. You come down, browse over there. If you have any if You'll find a contact number. If you have any doubts, if you want to come and talk to us in a personal, our team will be there every time. They're gonna assist you. So that's all for the day. And soon we're gonna start it. We'll start offline classes where the classes would be much more interactive sessions than compared to online, because I have a very big schedule. On the top of it, I am an employee, I work for Amazon, I have to concentrate on my job as well as this thing. So I'm feeling very much difficult to handle, because I have to prepare this PPT, I have to prepare the lecture, and the output what I'm giving is not much more confident. But if it had been on offline, I would have been explained in a better scenario. In the 1 hour this machine learning topic, it doesn't sit in a better format. But I tried giving my level best in a very upfront. So so let us start a new session. I will keep you guys will keep posting about the latest session which we want to start it offline. So feel free to subscribe my channel. If you have any doubts, please comment in the comment box, and will let us know what exactly you wanted to make more videos, and what you guys are interested to look into, and things like that. um, okay. So that's all for the guys. That's all for the today's session. We'll let you know. Let me know if you have any doubts and sessions like that. So that's all for the day. And bye bye. Take care. If you haven't subscribed, once again subscribe to my channel. Next session is gonna be a very interesting session. Uh, I requested you to request you to 1 second, guys. I'm getting a call. Okay, so I request you guys to stay tuned for more updates. Thank you. Signing off. Bye bye. Take care.